So we're always out here telling Hollywood we don't want any more sequels, guys. Don't make a sequel to everything. Only make sequels if we really ask for it. And to that, the makers of Kingsman said, fine. Suppose we were to make you a prequel about the Kingsman. And to that, I said, really just wouldn't make it much better. Still, just no. And to that, they said, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do it anyway. Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm new here on YouTube, so please consider supporting me and my channel by subscribing, leaving a like, and a comment down below. But without any further ado, let's talk about The Kingsman. The Kingsman is a prequel to The Kingsman Secret Service and to the Kingsman films, and it's directed once again by Matthew Vaughn. And it tells a story in World War I of espionage, involving Rasputin and sort of a war film along the way. Now, I won't lie, going into this movie, I did not have a lot of high expectations. I had not set the bar very high for this film. I'd seen the trailer on my phone and thought, looks okay. I saw it again in the theater when I was watching West Side Story, and my sister and I both were just kind of sitting there like, And that's basically how I felt going to the movie. So I didn't have very high expectations, but when I actually watched it, I tried to keep an open mind, and I tried to look for the positives. I will give it credit. It's way better than I thought it was going to be. Is it good, though? No. But before we talk about the negatives, let's talk about the positives first. So, right out the gate, Ralph Fiennes, as always, is phenomenal in this movie because it's always great to see him play roles like this or the Grand Budapest Hotel, where he really gets to flex his acting chops and do something a little different. I mean, it's not like he's doing a movie that's completely bad, like when he did The Avengers back in the 90s, which is really bad. We're not even going to talk about that. But here he gets to have fun. You can tell he's just having the time of his life, doing these crazy larger than life action scenes. And it's great to see. And I enjoyed seeing him. His acting is great. His chemistry with the other characters is great. His banter is hilarious. And of course, he always, you put any suit in the guy, he's gonna look great. Iphans as Rasputin is naturally a scene stealer. He's great in all the scenes where this completely overdone villain with the ridiculous accent and the makeup, and he's having fun with the dialogue they wrote for him, which is as over the top as it's possibly gonna get. And his crazy way of acting, his characteristics, and his fighting, which, if you've seen the clip that's online, we already knew what that was gonna look like. And it's more like dance fighting than it is anything else, but it was fun to watch. I mean, I didn't have any problems with him. He did so well. He brought so much energy to this character, and I loved watching it. It was great to see, and honestly, he's a breath of fresh air to me for the series. I mean, Samuel Jackson will always be my favorite, but this is still a really good performance that was turned in. Simon Hansu, I think I'm pronouncing that name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Great job in the movie. Once again, brought energy. Almost played, I think, a little more of the straight man in the movie because everyone else in the movie is kind of crazy, and he kind of seems like the guy who's kind of like, no, why don't we just be more rational about this? No problem with that. And he was a lot of fun in the scenes he was in, and I enjoyed watching him as well. Cinematography looks great in the movie. It's shot beautifully. The music is great. There's some great choices of music that are intertwined into it. Naturally, the choreography is very well done. Everybody knows what they're doing. It's that typical Kingsman over choreographed. You know, they took hours preparing for this scene style action scenes, but it's fun. Of course, it's gory as heck, which is fine by me. I kind of liked it. I prefer it that way. That's the way the first one was, and that's the way it should stay. They shouldn't be trying to change too much. Also, this movie, I think it's a good movie on its own right. Like, it doesn't feel necessarily like, say, the Star Wars prequels, where you really kind of feel like you have to watch the rest of them if you watch that. This just kind of feels like it's a good movie in its own. However, this movie is not flawless by any means. So, this movie is not what it could have been. This movie really had a lot of potential with it being the prequel to do so much to advance the whole thing about the Kingsman, which don't get me wrong, it does. but it misses a lot of opportunities, and it falls flat on a lot of grounds. Also, the story it's trying to tell sometimes it gets a little too serious, and I don't care for how the tone in this movie is very inconsistent. At times, it's trying to be over the top hilarious, and then trying to be realistic, grounded. It's a mixture. Like it's nothing that's a very set tone, and I didn't like that. The movie's also very long, way too long. Did not need to be as long as it needed to be. It felt like in some scenes it was just dragging. And it seemed like some scenes were in the movie because they had to be, because someone wanted it in the script, but it didn't really need to be there. The dialogue is great, but there is a lot of dialogue in here that just felt kind of unnatural. And it didn't feel very witty. It felt very flat. A lot of the jokes also did not land for me in this movie. Not that I want this movie to be a flat out comedy, but I at least want those jokes to really land and hit hard for me, and not all of them really did. Now, don't get me wrong, and I understand that these movies have never been Star Wars level special effects, but the special effects were also something I was not very keen on. I didn't think they were the greatest. Also, it doesn't always feel like I'm actually in World War One. It oftentimes seems like it forgets the era it's in, and it sort of begins to feel more like it doesn't know if it wants to go forward or backwards in time a little bit. Also, the whole thing with it twisting with history, I mean, I understand that's the way this series is, but I don't care for it personally for myself. I don't like them intertwining them into it too much. It depends on how you do it. Like some movies have done this style well. Here, though, I don't think it was executed in a way that was satisfying. Like, it doesn't feel entirely fun, I guess the word is. I didn't have enough fun with the movie as I wanted to. And I think that's a big problem with this movie is it's not quite as large as I wanted to be. It wasn't as big. It was smaller, and smaller is not always better. And here, that's exactly what happened. So, what would I rate it? Personally, I'm going to give this movie, I'm going to say a 4 out of 10. If you're into the Kingsman movies, I would totally recommend this if you really want to see it. But aside from that, if you're not really into them, I think it's something that you could probably watch when it comes out later on physical copy or it streams online. It's an okay movie, by no means bad, by no means good. I'm very mixed on this movie. It's just there for me. Thanks as always for watching. I appreciate it. Have a great day.